But between that and my choker, it's completely covering up the very obvious bruising from things.
Do you want to talk about it?
This is that kind of podcast.
Not bad.
From
just things.
Don't worry, it's just vampirism. Just
in a way,
just vampirism. Yep.
Anyway,
that's what I'm going to call it. So, like,
lesbianism
this was by far
vampirism if you want to.
This was by far the hardest episode of Video Gems to schedule.
Wasn't there like time travel involved in this?
Yeah, there was time travel involved.
Because I woke up the one morning, Kat, to a message from Dark Pride that just said the sentence, Kat wanted to record 3 days ago. And I'm like, what does that mean? And I see the message. And it's so good because it has the Discord timestamp. So it's, Kat, your full thing on Discord, the timestamp's the 11th. We should record on the 9th.
I think
so what's going on there, Kat?
I meant Feb. I mean, yeah, I did mean Feb, but
you didn't specify February.
I didn't.
We were still in January.
Because January was in the past.
So I was like, okay, let's just time hop a bit,
shit.
so we can record it.
Yes, it could have been that it was in the past my time, but it wasn't yet in the past your time, and I was like, I don't need to specify because that was like yesterday.
I mean, if this is what it takes,
had an existential crisis.
Do you think the planet's that big?
If this is what it takes to record with Australia, then fine. I'll time travel. I don't care.
Yeah, I'll take you on a journey. I'll take you on a time journey.
I played the messenger. I can do it.
Yeah, it's like that pretty much, but with more coffee and less, I don't know, angry bats. Actually, we do have bats. They fly over here.
Bathrooms? That's impressive.
They're friendly. They're friendly bats.
They're friendly if you don't go too close to them, but. Yeah, we technically do have bats too, so I retract that last statement. We do have bats.
Oh, bats. I was hearing bats.
Yeah, not bats.
No, like the friggin'
the creature, the flying little rodent.
The creature.
That kind of thing is meant to be like par for the course for Australia, right? Like, it's not just bats. There's other things as well.
It's not just bats, but the bats are cool.
Giant spiders are not.
There's all sorts of nightmare creatures in Australia, and somehow the Australians are even worse.
True.
What?
It's actually less the messenger and more Dark Souls. These creatures are over here.
Do you have hand spiders?
Probably.
I was thinking about your bit where you're talking about the not being able to pause in Dark Souls games in your most recent essay.
Yeah.
While I was playing through Dark Souls 3 last week. There's a few times where I was just like, it'd be really nice if I could pause right now.
Did you know?
Because I'm an adult and I have things going on.
Did you know that genuinely probably my most controversial tweet was about how was me responding. I quote tweeted some tweet that was praising how accessible Elden Ring was. And I was like, motherfucker, did you just call Elden Ring accessible? You still can't fucking pause it! And for some reason, that was the tweet. The Fromsoft boys found it, and they did not.
Boys.
Yeah,
they need to know.
They found it, and
it's not okay.
They did not like it, and it's like, okay, apparently FromSoft fans feel very strongly about wanting to not be able to pause their game.
It's not really FromSoft fans, right? It's not even the majority of people who play these games. No. It's teenage boy. who
Are Fromsoft fans?
have a very specific get good mentality.
Become skilled,
And
bruh.
presumably the devs at FromSoft. All the
Yeah,
I
phone
reckon there are a
guys
few of
over
them in
there.
there.
I guess, yeah.
In like,
But it's not. I think sometimes when we talk about like a fandom, are we actually talking about the people? Like, there's a big difference, I think, between the fandom, a community entity, and fans of a work, because you can get like fandoms where the majority of the people that are fans of the work want nothing to do with the fandom because it's such a like toxic community. Even
The
though like
anti-fandom.
yeah, the larger fan base doesn't hold those views. Like it's an interesting, I think, dilemma.
Like,
but
yeah,
you definitely
okay,
see
so
it
here's the
because, like,
thing,
most
right?
of the people that I speak with who love FromSoft games aren't like that at all.
No, exactly. And even with like really hardcore dedicated fans, I've had mostly positive interactions. Interactions, and even my making Dark Souls easy mode video was not as controversial in the comments as my tweet about being able to pause Elden Ring was. I don't know why. For some reason, there was more.
I wonder if that reflects more on the on Twitter
Yeah, it
compared
probably
to
does.
not Twitter.
It probably does just reflect more on the nature of Twitter as a platform, more so than the video or tweet itself. But
YouTube comments, I think, are
yeah.
actually really good because if you don't like it, you can press one button and then nobody else can see it. It's not just you, okay? Nobody else can see it.
Yeah, you can
And if they try to make more comments, they still can. They still can make comments. They're allowed to do that, but nobody else will see them. Nobody will see them. It's amazing. It's
One
really
of the
good.
very few creator-centric settings and functions of
Yeah.
YouTube.
Good job, YouTube.
Yeah, and it took years for people to fight for that to happen.
Yeah, they did.
Anyway, welcome to Video Gems. I forgot to say hello. Hello!
Hello! Welcome to Video Gems. Darkfry's forgotten this for a moment.
I'm Darkfry, the Lord of the Universe.
I'm Darkfry now.
Anyway, hello and welcome to Video Gems, the podcast that is definitely real. I'm your host, Darkfry, the definitely real host, and on this episode we have this is a very special episode because it is the first truly globe-trotting episode of Video Gems. We have the entire world represented because our guest today...
We trot the globe every week just because it's Australia. It doesn't mean it's not international, Darkfire. There's a lot. There's an entire ocean, okay, between us and Aranok.
Well, yeah,
every single time we do this. Okay.
Yeah,
but there is 4 countries in this call right now.
Yeah, but
Harry, continents.
Is Harry suggesting that the ocean should also be represented?
Yeah, we're getting Aquaman
Harry,
on next.
Harry, okay, look.
He's back from buying all of those houses.
Normally, Video Gems episodes span 70% of the world. This episode spans 100% of the world. Because the range is just further. Anyway,
we're not doing this.
Cat is the guest
here. Welcome, Cat.
Don't look that up.
Cat is the guest. It's short for Cat Pixel-A-Day. And she is from the land down under, also known as Hell. And Cat, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do and why.
Thank you for that generous introduction. You didn't even mention like what my channel does or anything that I make.
That's for you. That's your job. You're introducing yourself right now. That's for you to say.
Need more coffee.
I had 1 cup of coffee. I don't think that's going to be enough to buffer me from these relentless attacks. I do kind of literally live in hell right now because Today it will be 37 degrees Celsius, which for you Americans might not mean very much, but basically,
It's quite
it is
hot.
hell level temperatures. So yeah, you caught me on like the hottest day of the summer. Anyway, hello.
Right,
Your
it's
YouTube
summer
channel
over
is
there.
not about weather, though, is it?
I'm coming to you from a lovely Australian summer. Yeah, I'm Kat. I was one of the original guests on Video Gems back in the before times, in the pre-revival times. Yeah, I have a channel called Pixel a Day. I make video essays where I kind of analyze games as art, and I've been doing that for like 4 years. And yeah, so sometimes I do deep dives on one game, and sometimes I will have a theme, like portrayals of death or portrayals of nature or whatnot, and then I'll explore that through like 2 or 3 or 4 different games. And I talk about, not just games, but films and books and my own experiences, and I weave them together, hopefully interestingly. And I have a blog. I have a Medium page, and I write articles that have been published elsewhere too. But my YouTube channel is my main thing for now, until I don't know, the AI sludge washes us all away to somewhere else. For now, I'm here.
It's very, very good.
All right, Kat. Kat.
What?
What's so funny, Darkfry?
What?
Nothing.
That laugh is not
There's
good.
nothing funny about
That's
the AI sludge
concerning
washing us
laugh.
away.
I'm gonna. So your most recent video is called "What is the games industry missing?" and it's
No,
one that-
Aronok, that is
What?
not. That is not just Kat's most recent video.
That's actually not my recent video.
I said video essay.
woefully woefully
There is the
underrepresenting so every video essayist has a project that consumes their life for an extended period of time at some point, and then they release it, for better or for worse. It always has catastrophic consequences.
Sometimes they don't release it at all.
Yeah, sometimes the video defeats them. and
they
it never
never seen or heard from
They never
again.
see from them ever again.
Yeah. We don't in memory of those people. So
R.I.P.
R.I.P. So that is I refer to those as the videos. The video. To be more accurate. So Kat has relatively recently released the video,
Yeah.
which is a project that took way too long. How long did that were you making that? Like, I think you were making that for like a year or something like that.
Yeah, the process of stopping and starting took like over a year.
Yeah.
Darn.
It was an interesting.
That is
introduced in a very specific angle.
Ill-advised.
No, because sometimes things need the time to do that. And
sometimes, yeah, they do.
I mean, the
think,
video is better for it, because in that time I found, additional like points and resources and things to link to, and things happened in the meantime that strengthened my points, I think. But yeah, I can't recommend taking over a year to actually just make something that you want to make. You should just make what you want to make and not overthink it like I did.
But I was going to say, because it's an interesting work, and that's part of why I have the Ouroboros makeup on my face, is that Kat and I both had videos that we worked on for about a year that were, I would say, incredibly complimentary discussions. We were both messaging each other like after we'd released, like uncannily I think they both stand on their own really well, but they just like really reinforce each other's conversational topic points. And both of us had these sort of Ouroboros as a representation of seemingly infinite systems that really just need to either bite down or let go. They need to change because they just trap themselves in these loops. And how a lot of that comes from centralizing a very white male perspective within a creative industry. In the case of Jesse and my conversation, it was mostly about film, Hollywood, and we chose Star Wars as sort of a break-off point to do that from. And in yours, it was really the games industry and how we also study audiences. And I really valued your sort of breakdown of these exact sort of issues I'd had when I'd taken, for example, the gamer motivation questionnaire in my game design course.
Oh, you
in
took
uni.
it? Oh.
Yeah. No, my prof roasted it too. So
Right. My kind of person.
He's actually an Australian game design prof.
Australian, this questionnaire you made is straight garbage.
Oh, I can't believe we've got 2 Australians on the podcast finally. It's only taken about a year.
Who was your professor?
I'm not going to say their name on.
Oh,
I don't want to dox, but off air, I can message.
I am
message
interested now.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anyhow, I'm glad to hear that.
I want to say that for this episode, I really wanted to like find a super terrible gaming survey, and so that we can like do it together. But I didn't.
You just have to make one up.
Yeah, I can just make one. I can just make the worst gaming
When
survey.
playing games, do you like
make...
to experience characters? Do you like to fight things? Do you like to fight things? I don't know. Kill things.
Do you like to fight things? Do you like to kill things? Do you like to loot the dead bodies of things that you kill? Do you like shoot?
Okay, so I want to make one of those questionnaires, but for like real gamers. So I want to make like, what's your favorite genre of game? And the only options are walking simulator, 4X game, idle game, visual novel, and and like farming sim.
I actually think that you could sort of do an absurdist commentary on the failures of those types of quizzes that the Cat discusses by purposely making an anti-version of them that excludes every single type of gamer that those quizzes focuses on.
No, yeah,
but includes a bunch of others. Like
that's the every
that was the
like
joke.
It's a funny joke, but also like genuinely, I think that would be an interesting art piece on limited perspectives.
I want to do that,
inverted.
or have a survey where every answer is pathologic.
For me specifically, thank you.
For Aeronox specifically.
But Kat, I was wondering, like, were those? Because I always find it interesting when you sort of start connecting these different ideas or different topics, and I'm curious what came first. The question of where are the mother stories? Yes, I was referencing the constant chicken egg motif that Kat talks about. But where are the mother stories and your like frustrations with these questionnaires? Were there kind of two separate things that you were considering talking about, or did like one lead to the other?
No, the where are the mums was just like a nice intro into the issue, I thought, because like it's part of the issue. So every part, I think my video is in like 5 parts or so, and I talk about like a different aspect of the problem. And I thought the mother thing, the mum games, and like the demographic bias, very evident in the games industry, was like I just thought the mum game thing was like a good narrative. Like lead in to that rather than me just I don't know, just appearing on screen and starting to be like everything's too white. Da da da. I just knew I needed to like
have an
kind of ease people
compelling
in.
hook.
So yeah, that was the hook. I was like, okay, I'll start with an example that maybe everyone can agree this is a little bit ridiculous, and then bang, I hit them with the social justice angle. They didn't see it coming, or maybe they did.
I definitely have that feeling as well. When I write videos, sometimes I'm very much thinking like, oh, it's I'm just making a video about this thing, and then I get to put all these interesting thoughts and ideas inside of that package, and I often use the media that I'm talking about as a method to get to that point, I guess.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Starting with an anecdote or starting with an example.
Yeah,
There's so many fun ways to start a video.
Nimona was a video that was about the movie Nimona, but really it's more about specific feelings I've been having around queer liberation stuff and things that were very connected to what the movie was saying. But
yeah, sometimes you open with an anecdote from your life, and then you get the commenters being like, "Jesus Christ, just get
why are you talking
and give
about
me
your
the
life?"
list of top 5 so and so's."
Yeah, it's so interesting. 'Cause I haven't really made much video games focused video essays in a long time. Video games have come up in spots. In Queer Relativity, I talk about Dark Souls, I talk about Cyberpunk 2077 and a few others, but it's in amongst TV, film, and a bunch of other stuff. But I'm definitely doing some more just video game focused ones this year, and I know that that tone of comment is going to appear in a way that I haven't gotten as much, because I think for a long time the film space had that issue as well on YouTube, but it's kind of shifted in the last 3-4 years. During the period of time that I've making video essays, where people are more open to the personal being part of the analysis.
Yeah.
Because I think people finally started realizing oh, the everything wrong with CinemaSins style thing isn't very interesting. It's just sort of cynical and empty.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Lamhoot's games of the year video. Have you seen that?
Yeah, where he says it's a great game for year for games, and then talks uses it as an avenue to talk about the issues with the industry. And it was interesting because I saw a lot of other people copy what Lamhoot was doing and put their own spin on it. But not even that. Not even that. The first, Lamhoot makes a year of best games of the year, and then the first 3 are actual video games, and then you get to number 6, number 5, and then it becomes I was thinking of Heavy Eyes for some reason.
Yeah.
It's totally different people.
And then it becomes some abstract concepts, and then he gets to number 1, and number 1 is grilling. His game of the year was that he learned how to grill.
Yeah, I love that. That's incredible.
Number 3 was number 3 was a kitchen appliance he bought that he really liked.
Yeah, that's incredible. I missed that one. I'm gonna have to go watch.
I think it makes sense to me. Okay, it makes sense to me because if you think about what you do in the year, okay, video games are here, and then everything else, literally everything else, is up here. So it just makes sense that grilling is game of the year because it's better than video games.
Yeah. So that's the sort of list format that is sort of seen as very here's the best things, and then it becomes this very personal, just a list of personal anecdotes.
It's an interesting approach. I think
it's very good.
I think a lot of people are craving more personal human connection in art analysis than they were before, but there is still really that type of viewer that's just why are you talking about yourself? I'm not here for that. Yeah. And it's really funny because I'm
just give me the number. Just give me how much out of 10.
And it's just, I don't know. Objective analysis of art doesn't exist.
In the past, those commenters might have been the majority, or there might have been a lot more. I think there's less of them now, and more of the supportive, this is great kind of comment.
It's shifting.
There's I mean the belligerent, hilariously cringe sort of commenter is like definitely a small minority on my channel. Fingers crossed. It stays that way.
Well, yeah, because your channel is awesome and attracts the correct people.
And small.
I mean,
think it's
even when
mainly
you're
that
small,
it's small.
sometimes you can get that. Like I've had videos where I've had huge inputs of like terrible comments.
Yeah. They're all
like one of
out
my
there.
earliest videos at one point clearly got shared by like some person on like some subreddit, and it got like 1,000 view jump in a day and like 400 hate comments. And it's like my third video, and it was like 8 months after it released. It was very weird. Like, thanks for the engagement, I guess, but like, what? And it is interesting because even I think small channels, you can actually get in a worse situation, because you get in those situations where someone very big notices one thing that you've done and then just like sends their entire hate mob fan base after you.
YouTube is a wonderful place.
Well, it's any social media. When I first started out, I had like 200.
Shout out to my buddy Asmongold that keeps
that
doing
fucker.
that. It's very cool how he keeps doing that. Directing his huge fan base to harass small creators, especially if they're trans. Very cool. Very cool and awesome that he constantly does it.
Yeah, no,
I find it very cool.
I saw a clip.
Gold.
I saw a clip that I don't. It was like a bit dodgy. I don't want to describe what happened here on a family friendly show such as Video Gems, but it wasn't great. That's all I'm gonna say. It was interesting what you were saying earlier, Kat, about how you sort of think the landscape is kind of changing in terms of like more. There's sort of potentially a bigger audience for the analysis that you like, the kind of analysis that you do. Is that right?
Yeah, totally. Like, I do. I mean, for all my complaints, I do think the gaming landscape is getting much more diverse and broad in terms of demographics, and that there's just always a lot more people coming in that are just like normal people and not like ridiculous toxic fans.
Yeah.
That are going to normalize, playing games in the way that we consume, books and films and stuff, and just to be able to like accept that, yeah, we can critically engage with this stuff just like any other medium, and it's not like an attack on you if I say I didn't like your favorite thing.
Yeah,
that's another thing.
It's a very this is a very helpful and good thing to remind yourself and remind other people, is that these people are loud, and they are a very small minority, but the reason they are loud is because they are not winning this argument, let's say, this thing, the criticism media / game / whatever landscape is shifting, and has been for a very long time. Like, I don't think it really ever was what they're describing. It's just a lot more noticeable now and a lot more diverse now. So
yeah, it's a lot more diverse again now.
Yeah,
because games did used to be quite diverse before the 90s, when marketing and development just completely spun around and decided to super target everything to teenage boys. So I think these people live in like a fantasy where the game space was always like that, but it truly wasn't. Even in the 70s and 80s, it was not like games
it wasn't until the like Atari ET crash that the marketing teams decided to switch, and it wasn't immediate either. It took like a decade before it became the dominant sole thing. But before that, games were almost had gender parity pretty often when you look at the statistics. And some of the most popular games had more women playing them than men. And then you you hit like 1983 and 1984, and they go, "Oh, we've had this big crash. What's the solution? Market to boys for some reason." And so
It's so weird. Like market to half of the
worst-
population as opposed to all of it.
worst
Like,
lesson you could learn. It doesn't make any sense, but yeah. So you see that sort of like if you go back and look at the 90s advertising in particular, in the early 2000s, you've got that like really heavy sort of like the Master Glove. It's powerful. It's for boys. Oh, yeah, like that energy and a lot of advertising from that era. And I do think
I love
that
the Power Glove. It's so bad.
so bad. And I think
Sorry.
It was such
When
a
you-
bad
when you-
cultural moment for games. Like,
yeah.
I mean, some of the best games ever were released in that time, but also just culturally was such a cringe moment, even
Oh, it
more
was
broadly
awful.
than that. Like games were, it's been fascinating. 'Cause, like, I did a lot of research and stuff about just the history of games, and for my video. And yeah, I think we're gonna look back on that like late 90s, early 2000s consolidation of the whole industry into this small group of really, really big players that could just control so much of what games were made and how they were made and who they were made
Uh-huh.
for. As like, oh, this like
And
this
that
was
was-
not a good thing.
That was the origin point, really, of the purchase developer pump out one game, then destroy the developer and fire all the employees. Like that's where that really started. EA,
EA loved
Blizzard,
doing it. They loved doing it. They
etc.
couldn't stop themselves
They-
from doing it.
yeah, but they started doing it in the late 90s,
They
early
loved it.
2000s,
They
and
loved
like it's only gotten worse since then. Where you see all these like wonderful developers. Like I think about groups like Visceral Games. Dead Space 1 and 2 are such just like absolutely wonderful. I've had a lot of issues with Dead Space 2's writing, but like the design wise and like gameplay wise, they're really good. And then Dead Space 3, EA said, you need to put in all these microtransactions, you need to do all this stuff and everything. It killed the studio. EA gets rid of Visceral completely. And that entire creative group that wanted to make meaningful stuff and were successful when they were making what they wanted before the executives came in and said, you need to do these things. And those things are what killed the
The
franchise.
whole
and
industry got
killed-
sucked into this horrible AAA checklist where if you
Yeah.
didn't do all these things, you were just dead in the water. And so, like, so many AA, mid-sized studios died.
Yeah.
But at the
people.
very least, we do now have tools like Twine and Unity and stuff that have
Mm.
democratized it a bit more, which is good. I think the future looks good in that regard.
We
I'm
were having an
optimistic.
interesting conversation about this with Zalavir when he was on. But it's still, I think, a really precarious time in
Oh, yeah.
general for the industry. And like seeing how many people have been laid off this year, like while profits are up and the CEOs and executives are making more money than they've ever made, I just don't understand how you can be in a position where you're letting
We
go of
are-
thousands of people.
Yeah.
Just in January of 2024, we have reached more than half the numbers of laid off game developers than for the entirety of 2023. And those are just some terrifying. There's just some terrifying numbers, and I've also had this conversation with. I was talking about this with Jeremy, literally yesterday. Actually, where it's like, okay, you see this, and it's like, damn, won't the game industry just run out of people to crunch at some point? Like you would think that, right?
It'd be interesting to know the statistics. How many of these people go back into the industry and how many of these people leave? Be very
It's
interesting.
Yeah.
a lot that leave. I know a lot of people in tech who are like, yeah, I wanted to be a game developer. I went in, I got burned out, I left.
It's already like quite a
Or how
sort
many
of
people,
scary
or how
proposition
many
in the
people
first
never
place.
enter it? How many
Exactly.
people never
I've not,
enter it in the first place?
I had the choice of entering it. I've not entered it because, like,
Same.
it's more "quote unquote" lucrative to work someplace else in tech
Yeah.
rather than video games.
I
from a
changed my
pragmatic
mind.
point of view.
Less abused.
Yeah,
I changed my mind on wanting to work in the games industry, and I've just got like a programmer job at somewhere else, and just
Yeah, no, it's an industry that's burning out the
Yeah.
people. The other thing is that there's no senior level artists and skilled workers that are being developed because they're all just getting laid off faster, burnt out of the industry completely. And so like game designers and leads of big projects and things are saying like we're going to hit a point in as people retire that there's going to be no like long-term developed skilled people.
Nobody left to make the clay.
Nobody's no senior artists to mentor people. And
laying off the seniors and not hiring juniors.
And the other thing I think that's worth really noting is that the industry particularly burns out marginalized people and particularly burns out women. And when we look at the constant scandals of CEOs, executives, and things doing inappropriate things in the workplace and stuff, like it comes back to a lot of what Kat's talking about of like demographic and spaces built in such a ways that they're hostile.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well, which is part of my that was part of my video of like, we only see the industry as is. We don't see like the people who burnt out or never entered it in the first place. And it's so hard to get those people. It's so hard to survey them and hear from them because they're just scattered all over the place. And how do you reach them? Once they're out, once they're gone, and their voices are like maybe the most important. And they're just, we don't know how many of them there are out there, but probably many, 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 many more than we think. Leaving us trapped in this weird, horrible bubble. I have to think that the industry is reaching a point where we're all now so aware of the issues, and the issues are getting so bad, something has to change.
Here's my guess. We're either going to see some big studios and things completely collapse because of like they just can't hire people. or that we're going to see major unionization efforts that result in some pretty significant changes.
They have to, surely. They have to unionize. Like,
the reality is,
what's going to happen?
The more precarious the executives make jobs for people, the less likely the less power they have to do union busting tactics built around threatening the lives and security. Because if you have no job security,
you have nothing to lose.
You have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose, and it's that thing of like, unless the executives significantly turn around their actions and things, I think.
I also
it's not a question of if but when. People
also,
are after
pushed
all
these layoffs, I remember browsing places, and I've seen many job postings from Rockstar, and I think this is very notable.
Can't hire people.
I think this is very notable because, okay, so. And I've saw a lot of PR people for Rockstar be like, hey, people that were affected from the layoffs, we are hiring now for many positions at Rockstar at various places, both remote and on site. And I was like, okay, cool. What's gonna happen when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out? What happens then?
You're going to lay everybody off again?
The same thing that happened last time.
What happens then? Does Rockstar press the reset button?
We'll cross that bridge when it comes to it.
When they no longer need to pay literal billions to the thousands and thousands of people who are working on that game. What happens then?
I've heard that I've heard the Rockstar have actually got their act together. They've improved things after was it Red Dead 2? I think it was Red Dead 2.
After like basically sending Australian game development scene into crisis by like laying off.
Oh yeah, they did that, didn't they?
In Sydney.
Yep.
Anyway.
That was the thing that they did.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, Team Bondi.
Okay.
Yeah.
They made LA Noire, and then they shut them
down. In Sydney that made a huge amount of LA Noire.
Damn.
Yeah,
I liked LA Noire.
And then they were just all fired.
It's And I do think that like these issues are all intertwined. I think when you centralize power, perspective, etc., into a small number of people with the same perspective, of course you're going to get a less collaborative, less creative, less productive, and more exploitative system. It's the natural endpoint.
More exploitative system that tells less varied and worse stories as a result.
Yes.
So
the art's worse, the working conditions are worse. No one's
How
having a
about
nice
that
time.
new Justice League game, eh? Doesn't that look good?
Oh man.
Can't wait to play that.
Oh man, they pissed on the Flash's corpse, man.
They really did.
Wait, is
That's
that
if
what
they
they
did.
do?
Dude,
Oh yeah,
dude,
of course, because
dude,
they're funny. They're funny.
I
You
totally
don't
would do that.
understand.
I would totally
It's a
piss on the
funny
Flash's
game.
corpse. I would totally do that. Like
They made
like that.
like some of the best video games of all time, and then they did this. No, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's fine.
They killed Batman.
He says in a very.
I mean, it's in
way.
the title, no? It's in the title of the game. Like, there's no sort of misdirection here as to what they're gonna do. They're gonna kill the Justice League.
I guess you're getting what you asked for on the box.
Yeah. I think that's been a thing where people are upset about that.
I think one of the funniest things of last year that really demonstrates the disconnect between what the industry thinks people want versus what people actually want is Baldur's Gate 3. The most successful, like, major game last year is probably Baldur's Gate 3 that isn't like a Call of Duty, you know.
It seems kind of obvious, like when you look back at it, right?
You say that isn't like a Call of Duty, but actually Call of Duty has been kind of struggling lately. Which is
still sounds like
incorporating like
copies.
RPG elements lately. I was like, oh, I missed that.
No,
Yeah,
Call of Duty.
There are sex scenes now in Call of Duty.
You can romance your fellow, like,
You can romance boys.
You can romance Colonel Ramsey.
Yeah, and so I was just checking. The number one was Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, a single-player game with no online microtransaction features whatsoever. Yeah, in terms of copies sold, 18.5 million plus. Yeah, really.
Right now, I'm looking this up right now.
The second is unfortunately the game by the Turf. But I'm not surprised that franchise is big and since people don't care about trans rights.
Yeah.
So, the third game is Diablo 4 with 12 million. That one is a microtransaction laden thing, but it is more narrative focused than most AAA stuff. Fourth was Starfield. Fifth was Resident Evil 4 Remake. RE4 Remake is another, like, it's a single campaign. There's no microtransactions. There's no big online things.
Actually, in that one.
Is there?
Yeah,
what microtransactions could they put into Resident Evil 4?
You can buy small guns.
It was a big thing actually. There's quite a lot of microtransactions in RE4 Remake.
I did not hear about them at all from any of the YouTubers that talked about it.
Probably because no one cares about that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 16 was the 6th, the 7th was Street Fighter 6, and the 8th was Dead Island 2. So
it's not too surprising.
But notice, like, these aren't live service games. I mean, I guess the fighting games
live
are
service
like
games
somewhat.
Don't really sell copies, do they? They sell loot boxes.
Yeah, but even downloads and things, I guess you'd have to. But it's highest grossing, not necessarily highest sales, right?
What was your favorite game of last year, Kat?
Alan Wake 2, duh. The
Yeah,
greatest
exactly.
game of the decade.
I'm too scared to play that game.
Yeah, it's spooky.
I mean, even if you look at the top selling games of all time, most of them don't fit live service model. Yeah, I mean, Minecraft, Space Invaders, Pac-Man, Street Fighter 2, Wii Sports.
I saw an article earlier today, and I don't know how like trustworthy it is because I haven't read it, but it's some sort of report that report 95% of studios are working
that's
on or
bullshit.
aim to
That's
release
clearly
a
bullshit,
live
Dark
service
Pride.
game.
I
I
saw
don't
that
know
and
how.
I instantly. I don't even need to
I
look
don't
anything up,
believe it.
right? That's bullshit.
Like,
It's not. I'm
like,
pretty sure it's
that
like
doesn't seem correct.
It's like they included the answer as like people who are like going to release updates for their game or something stupid like that, like patches and things like that. And it's like, well, yeah, of course.
Well,
Of course, it's
that's
going to be
not live
95% of the people.
service.
No,
That's a little
Yeah.
different.
it's
I
not
guess there's
95%. That's absolutely ridiculous.
It is still a lot.
It is still a lot, and they just don't do well. Like they just
Yeah.
don't do well, and I think I think it just really demonstrates like what the industry wants or thinks people want versus like what people want.
What was that Square Enix live service game that like a few weeks after launch had one concurrent player?
Oh yeah.
I don't remember its name, but
I'm sure the guy who played it does.
Yeah, and
He's the only one.
I remember.
He still plays it
I
to
remember
this
because
day.
there was a viral tweet when pointing out that it had one concurrent player, and it was the quote tweet of the "Hey, this was me."
This is me. That's what
I
they
am
should
that
do,
player.
right? There should be like a law where if you make a live service game, the servers have to stay up for 3 years. And then you just have like empty servers of like 2 people just having the time of their lives.
And one of them is
the
Harry.
saddest.
Yeah,
The
one of
saddest
them's
like
me.
live servicey type game ever for me that like got destroyed was this Lego MMO I played when I was a kid called Lego
Oh, yeah.
Universe. That was great, and they just killed it. And it was
Yeah.
it wasn't even like doing poorly. Like there was still lots of active players. They just ended it.
There
And
are
it's no
companies
longer
who are
playable.
like dedicated to maintaining small MMOs.
Yeah, wasn't
like-
there a
like-
thing in that what's the guy's name? The guy who did the NFT video. You can tell I'm very up to date on my YouTubers.
Dan Olsen.
Dan whatever, yeah, that guy. He did a video on MMOs, didn't he? Where it was like, even if you have like 200 players playing MMO, you're still doing really well because they just spend so much money.
Yeah.
It just keeps the servers afloat single-handedly.
Yeah, like you don't need a huge player base. You need a small and dedicated player base. That's
I
what
think
you
that's why
need.
these models are still kind of prevalent. It's just they're not for us. They're not for like the wider audience at large. They're for like 20 people that
Yeah.
spend the most amount of money. I
The
remember
whales.
in
They call them whales.
in
Yeah.
Dota 2, there's like
Term-
literally there's like this legendary sort of Saudi prince who spends literally tens and tens of thousands of dollars on the loot boxes every year.
Oh, that's
Every
a
time
good
it comes
get.
around. It's like
Yeah, if you're one of those whales, you're just
they're
you're
quite
good
happy
forever.
about that at Valve.
That's a freaking kraken.
Yeah, it's not a whale.
The giant
That's
of
what
the
everybody
deep.
wants.
and then okay, you're a gaming company, and then you look at demographics, and then you're like, all right, we're making games for whales now. We make whale.
It's a mystery as to why
Advanced
Apsu
ocean
wasn't successful.
representation.
Why do you know how to make like
Actually,
a very
that's I want to ask you about this, Kat. Sorry, this is derailing it a little bit. When is the next ocean video coming? I need to know. I need to know when it's coming.
Never.
Okay.
That video did
do you mean
so
never?
bad.
What
I've
do you mean
never
it did so
mentioned
bad? Who
another War of Things
cares?
video.
I liked it.
It was a really good video. I like that video.
I liked both
thanks.
of the ocean
This
videos.
is three
and
people-
you're
three
welcome
people that watched
because
that video.
you're welcome because I gifted you in other waters. I'm a good gifter.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, you're
and that
responsible for
video
ocean video
also-
too.
Did not do very well.
Okay, but Kat, come on.
People
You know what
don't-
they say about
People don't want
third
it. Okay?
time. You know what they say about third time. Third time's the charm. Okay, we need Ocean Video 3.
Yeah,
there
but
must be
this
something.
time
I'm not
But
making
this
any
time, make
promises.
it about Subnautica or something.
I do
Subnautica,
have-
Wait,
people
no,
like
you-
Subnautica. That's quite. Well, actually, you've already done that. Oh,
Wait, yeah, you.
okay.
The first
okay, we
one-
need to think
the
of
first
something.
one.
I
We need to think
mean-
of something.
I mean, Kevin got me Dave the Diver, and I have a couple of other water video games lined up. I'm gonna have a nice watery summer, but that's
This is
just
exactly
me.
what I want to hear.
So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, right? I got Cat for a Secret Santa one year. I had to gift Cat a game, and Cat is very easy. If you get her as like a Secret Santa recipient, she's like the easiest you could get. Just get her an ocean game.
Just do it. It's so easy.
Like,
There's so many
genuinely.
of them.
And I love them.
like genuinely, I went to Steam searching for ocean games, and I was like, all right, this one, and this one. Send them.
That's what you need. Dredge. Have you played Dredge? I bet that would be good.
That's one of the ones. That's
one of the ones.
That's one of the ones sitting on my.
You know
desk
what? I've got a
waiting.
good feeling about this. I've got a good feeling about this cat. I think in the next few months we're going to see it
To be honest,
in our
Dredge
subscription
is
boxes.
somewhat popular right now. I feel like you could do something interesting about Eldritch Horror and water.
Dave the Diver is
And-
popular. They're adding Godzilla to that, so that's that's a big deal.
Speaking of horror, though, I really, really love your video on Soma and like implication horror, and how powerful something can be by not showing things. Do you want to talk about that a little
Implication
bit?
Horror is the name of my new band.
No, we're not doing this again, Doug. No. Let's talk about the Soma.
Let's have a great time talking about post-apocalypse existential terror under the sea.
Under the sea.
Under the
Under the
sea.
sea.
It all goes back to the
Soma.
sea.
I like that game. I like that game because it has a clever name that no one gets. Soma means body in Greek.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's
It's
like,
like-
that's
it's
like
I
the
feel like a
first
lot of
thing you
people
get
got
when you
that.
Google the game
Pretty
Soma
important.
is everyone saying you know what Soma means.
un-Greek people don't get it. They just don't.
Oh, this is like
They don't.
he's,
I got
he's,
it.
Okay.
he's acting like a
Okay.
fucking New Yorker over here, isn't he? Oh no, only in Greece.
And I had to do a lot of internet research for that video, and I found that two things you get when you Google like Soma related discussion or analysis. The first thing is, did you know Soma means body in Greek? And the second thing is, did you know that Soma is a game about what it means to be human? Literally,
It's Darkfire's
it is
version of
illegal.
the
It
Doki
is
Doki Panic.
illegal for someone to make an analysis of Soma without including the phrase "what it means to be human." The police come and arrest you.
so I was playing Persona 3 Reload today, like all day. So it's all I was doing. And they
Yeah,
at
I've
some point
kept quiet about it, but it's
At
really
some
good.
point-
Just wanna-
at some point they introduce a new mechanic that they're adding to the remake of Persona 3. And it's called theurgy. And when the guy introduces it, when like the leader of your group introduces it, he's like, theurgy means this in Greek. And I saw it, I was like, no, it doesn't.
Did he mean to say Thaner? Do they mean to say Thanergy? Or
I don't know.
what is Thanergy? How's it spelled?
Look.
THEURGY.
This is good news, okay? This is Sega we're talking
Thurgy?
about. They're fucking
Weird.
huge, okay? And they've made they've made a mistake. Just think about what we can do in our YouTube videos now. We can do whatever we want. We can say whatever we want. And it doesn't matter because Sega can't Google
Sega
something.
can just say that this word
Harry,
means something
Harry.
in Greek and can just make shit up.
You can't pull a James Summers justification.
Look,
Forget what
I
I
can
just
just
said.
say whatever the hell I want because other people are also saying whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
Apparently,
You know?
theurgy, Theurgy, is the art or technique of compelling or persuading a god or beneficent or supernatural power to do or refrain from doing something.
Yeah, that sounds like Persona.
Yeah.
That's such.
So it is a word.
It is. No, it is. No, it is a word.
It might have some roots in Greek, but I don't think it's a Greek word. If that makes sense. Like I think its roots come from Greek, but
yeah,
Makes sense.
It has. It's an English-fied Greek
One second.
word.
Weren't we talking about Soma at some point?
Anyway, Soma was
Yeah.
a scary game from 2000 and some. I can't remember it.
Something.
13, I think
All the
13.
information from
13.
that game is actually gone out of my head. It actually dissipates as soon as I release the
As soon
video.
as the video's done,
So
yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't talk about Soma because I don't know anything about that game.
I think it's 2013.
That's all
I
we
think
know.
I'm-
That's all we know about Soma.
Great.
Or
It came out in
15.
2013 or 15. It's good. I've not played it. I think, do I have it in my Steam link?
Amazing.
I'm not sure, probably.
I didn't expect to be so blown away by it. You know,
Because these are the people that made like Amnesia.
Amnesia, which I played the first Amnesia and it was fine.
That's good. Yeah.
But yeah, Soma as a whole other thing. It's just a whole different kind of storytelling.
Kat, can I say something unrelated?
It's your podcast. You
yeah.
can do whatever you
Yeah,
want.
it is. It is my
tends to forget that
podcast. I can do
sometimes.
whatever that. I do forget that sometimes. I love it. I love it when you call things cringe. And you
Yeah.
and you know this. You know that I love it when you call things cringe.
I do know that.
You called the
sorry, I had to say goodbye to my girlfriend.
you
back.
called a where's she going?
Back over to her place.
Anyway,
he's got some work he needs to do.
I
So.
love how distracted you just got then, Doug. So, oh, where's she going?
Anyway, Kat, can you say cringe?
Cringe.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good.
Can
That's
it-
good.
I
Awesome.
need to be
What?
calling something cringe, unless you're going to take that clip and
Okay, call
splice it
Nier
into
Automata cringe.
Nier Automata is extremely cringe. Everything about
Hell
it is
yeah.
That's
cringe.
good. That's really
Thank
good.
you. Okay, I'm glad I'm not
Except
the
for
only one that
music, which is
finds
legitimately great.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that kind of finds the Nier series a little.
What is legitimately great? I missed what you said.
The music? Kat said
yeah.
the music was
Oh
legitimately
yeah.
great.
No. Look, I convinced Kat to call Nier Automata cringe in her video about it.
I didn't need convincing.
And honestly, the power I hold over Kat's videos makes me feel drunk with power.
Contributed to the Nier video.
I love Kat being like, I
Single-handedly
literally didn't
responsible
need to
for
be
Ocean
convinced
Video
at all.
2.
And Darkfry's like, I'm so.
God,
Power.
Because it's happened more than once.
give me a word and I'll put it in the next video.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Irregardless.
Oh god.
No, you can't do that.
Which
That's
isn't
mean.
even a word.
You can't do
let me
that.
cancel myself.
Think of the engagement you'll get.
What's wrong with irregardless? It's fine.
It's not a
It
word.
means the same thing as regardless.
No, it's
It comes up in,
It has a different vibe than regardless, though. I don't know.
It does
It's
if you're
even
if
more
you're mad,
It's
if you're annoyed.
even more regardless
You say
than
irregardless.
regardless. It's like super regardless.
Regardless.
It's like saying no versus saying yeah, nah. You know, like they're two different,
It's like
saying
same
no,
meaning,
saying
but they're not the
Kat,
same.
that
you
is
thing.
know?
wrong.
Cat say no.
Is this what we're doing now on video chat? Do we have to get a list of words for Kat to say?
Yeah, I need Cat to say no, please.
To be fair, I also need Kat to say no. Come on, Kat.
Ask me a question then that I would answer in the next.
Cat, do you think that There are too many mom games.
Oh hell no.
Oh,
Brilliant.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, there are not enough mom games.
What?
What?
Dark Friday, you don't sound like Cat. You sound
That's
like
not.
that one Australian animator who did like Australian Rick and Morty for.
Oh,
That's
Australian Rick and Morty.
well, that was an
Australian.
official thing they released.
Australian
Like,
Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Australian Rick and Morty.
Crocky
We're gonna
Morty,
get the
what
ute,
are you
Morty.
doing?
We're gonna get the that was an official thing that was Bushworld Adventures was released by Adult Swim. They hired him. They hired the like Australian YouTuber guy that did it to to make Bushworld Adventure, and Bushworld Adventures is just Australian.
Adult Swim are
Rick
usually
and
up to
Morty.
anything.
They just drive around in a ute. Like,
Yeah.
A ute.
Yeah. I want a Bendigo, Morty.
we're gonna Wendigo. So good.
Bendigo,
no right being
Bendigo
as
is a
funny
mere
as it
couple
is.
of hours away from where I live, so
A
Incredible.
mere couple of hours.
Only a couple
What?
of hours.
What?
Yeah, that's not that bad.
that's
Driving
nothing in
wise?
Australia terms.
I,
Alright,
Australia's
I-
very
I
large.
I live in Canada, which is much larger, and like the nearest like other city to my city is 2 hours away. Like there's tiny towns that would be slightly closer, but like like to drive from one province to another province's like big cities is like 6, 7,
Y'all
8
are
hours.
talking
I'm pretty
Y'all-
sure 2 hours gets Darkfire to the other side of the country.
Yeah,
Y'all
exactly.
are talking.
But that's what
no,
I'm saying.
two-
Like
no, you don't get it. 2 hours gets me to the other side of the country and back.
Yeah, no, I know, but that's what I'm trying to get across. Is like I think when there's a big perspective difference, because I a lot of my European friends who were like exchange students were here for university, like couldn't understand the vast distances that Canada is and how much nothing there is in between
So much
things.
nothing.
Yeah,
Very
it's a totally
inefficient.
different.
Very inefficient. They should put some stuff there, I think.
No, there's wilderness there. We need to stop destroying what is there, actually.
So that's why you
I'm just
can't
dying
make
over
a,
here. I'm
that's
sorry,
Why you
it
couldn't
is-
have a Cypriot Rick and Morty, because they wouldn't be anywhere for them to go. Like
No.
that's it. That's
Be
the
one
whole
upside.
Morty, we're going to have a 10-minute adventure to the other side of the country, Morty. Fucking you.
Still
not
a-
a Cypriot,
still a
Morty.
you.
Mortella dare kumpare pame vekale tapochibna pamen na pamen na kamen kadibatishes.
You've
You have no
say
idea
Morty
what I
at
just
the
said
end.
because I was speaking Cypriot.
Yeah,
but
I'm gonna try to
just-
bring us back to actually talking about Kat's work and not just.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It is
Kat,
one.
I've got
incoherent about
a
Australia.
question. I've
It
got a
is
question
one.
for you, Kat.
It is 1:30 a.m. over here. So this is why I
We're all
am.
on very different
I am
daytime
just-
like vibes because of the content.
Yeah, this is like
I
the 10
realize-
a.m.
It's the
you
middle
trying
of the
to sort of
day,
keep it
and
low-key.
Dark Fry's like late night. Like
I realize.
Okay,
I
here we
It's
have
realize
a
that I am.
question.
neighbors.
But
that
what
I am
time
the
is it under the
host.
sea?
under the sea, under the sea. Everything's better when it is
Under the
wetter.
sea.
Under the sea.
Sea adventure.
Under the
What?
sea, Morty. It's better because it's wetter, Morty.
Straight down, Morty, all the way.
We have Rob.
Starkfire, you do like
another-
you do noise adjustment on this podcast, right? You're not just going to release it raw into the wild.
Do it. Release it raw.
do
Bulldog.
it raw.
I think that's what we've been doing this entire time.
Another video I really enjoyed from you last year was the small games with big vibes, which is just like a really relaxing video.
Uh-huh.
When you're making sort of compilation videos, like the underwater ones
Big
or
vibes.
the small games with big vibes, how do you choose what to include and how do you choose what not to include? Because I'm kind of doing a similar thing right now with my next video, which is on this genre I called Renfair Cheese, that Lady Night and I invented. I'll explain in the video. But I had to like I ended up narrowing down to just 3 things, even though there's like a bunch of other media I could have talked about. And it's always interesting, like, what's the most important or what's most interesting?
Complete recency bias.
It's pretty much like vibes based, really. Like
Mhm.
sometimes I have more things to like I want, include, and then it's like initially just brainstorming. I'll just throw some things down on paper, and then I'll try and expand the script. And as I'm writing, maybe like some things will work better than others, and it's basically like how many threads emerge between the things that ties them together nicely, like just coincidentally I found like in my nature video where I talk about Alone and Outer Wilds and Rain World, I found a quote from a guy in Alone saying nature just is. And then in Outer Wilds, I found a text fragment that said, the universe is and we are. And like that was just a total coincidence. That was like a perfect thread between those two.
Oh my god, Outer Wilds was made by that guy.
Oh,
Oh my god.
we've cracked it, Morty.
We cracked it, Morty.
Sometimes, sometimes there are more things that I think there will be threads between, but that when I go to writing them, they just aren't, or
it is always
the flow
interesting.
Yeah,
finding the threads and finding the like. I don't know.
I want to make like a video that's like that, but with completely weird choices. Like I want to make a video about like games with big vibes and stuff, and then
trees,
and then it's like Doom 2016.
To be fair, Doom 2016 I do think is a game that primarily relies on its atmosphere.
Yeah, it's just vibes. What are you talking about?
It's a vibe game. It's like it's a game that is so actively just like fuck plot. Like it's happening. There is plot. It just doesn't care about it because the Doom guy's there to have this very specific flow state and feel and space. I would say it's like Dark Souls is a game that's about a very specific vibe. It's very intentional with the sort of feel you're supposed to sit in during its experience.
Yeah.
So you could do that. I just think that
you can do anything. As Harry said, you can literally do and say
you can do whatever you want.
Whatever.
I would say games that aren't really like vibe games are like any Call of Duty. Call of Duty has a distinct lack of vibe.
No, zero vibes. Vibeless games. That's what we need to make the video on.
Vibes video about Call of Duty.
I'm gonna start calling
hard mode.
I'm gonna start calling people vibeless.
Gormless and vibeless.
You're
It's
so
getting
distinctly
vibeless.
vibeless.
I'm sure that you could find one moment in a Call of Duty game
You could.
where there's no
that has a. You know what?
Somebody
Actually,
had
I
one.
would say there
and
are
you can,
moments in certain.
stand on a rooftop and watch a sunset or something, and then do the Jacob Geller.
Yeah.
Like, I think about
There
this
are
moment
a few
a lot.
moments.
You know, I can
There's
put
a
it
few
all
moments,
together.
a few
It's
campaigns
happening.
that you could do it. I think I'd have to replay through all the Call of Duty games. I think there's some that like there's moments where they have a specific.
That's our
feeling
homework
in
for
place.
next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry,
so
I'm just losing it over here.
So sometimes the vibes don't work, but like in Soma, right? Like in Soma, I was going to I have that framing device where I say what's the scariest thing or what's the worst thing you can think of, and then the first one is like infinity, and then the second one is like the idea that you're a bad person, and I really wanted to put a third one in there because 3.
Yeah, the rule of 3s is always nice to follow when you can do it. No, I know exactly what you mean though. Like
3 is a vibe. 2 is not
3
vibe. 3 is a vibe. So
3 is a vibe.
No, it really is though. The human brain
It just makes
likes.
sense.
So the scariest things are infinity, being a bad person, and making a list that has less than 3 things.
Trying to find a third thing.
yeah,
And not being able to.
There's two numbers that are the scariest: infinity and less than 3. Anything less than 3.
So
It's
Infinity
what's
Heart.
written on a whiteboard at Valve.
Infinity
But-
Heart is the scariest thing.
I'm trying to think of a third one I think that would
No, I
adequately
thought of a
fit.
third one,
and
right?
I think
I thought I was going to go with the identity angle and be like, the
Mm.
idea that you don't exist, that the self doesn't exist. And I tried to write that third thing, and then it just didn't work because it's not
so
scary to me.
that's actually an interesting
Like
that's
the idea that there's no self, like it's actually not a scary idea to me. Like I kept trying to make it scary and work it in
Yeah,
far angle.
I think
it doesn't.
This is just nice.
I can explain how it can be scary,
Oh,
and I'm going to
yeah,
explain it
yeah,
from the perspective of
definitely.
as a mentally ill person with bad depersonalization at times. It is very disconcerting and weird to experience like a total lack of just like feeling like you are a real person in any reasonable way. It is like looking in the mirror and it feeling like there's just someone else there, and you're just kind of this floating, disembodied existence, and that you're nothing at the same time.
So you could have written that part of the video super well, Aaron. You would have smashed that out of the park.
But the only reason I have that perspective is because I have an extremely weird, unique experience that's relevant, and like,
Yeah.
I think that's I
relevant.
think it's one of those things that it is hard to conceptualize certain things if you've never experienced them, and like, yeah, but
I
there
think
is
if there's a
an-
lesson to be learned here, it's that cutting things from your video is a good idea, and you should do it.
It's great.
yeah, sometimes it's good to cut.
More people
Lots of times it's
more
good to
people
cut
should
things.
cut stuff out of their
Sometimes
video, or let
just-
me cut stuff.
If we
out
if
of
we
it.
if we had that discourse instead of like the video essays are too long discourse,
Oh my god, I'm
can
so
you imagine
fucking
it's going
tired
to
of-
be like that Paradise Utopia meme picture thing? You know the ones that I'm talking about.
No,
It'd be
it's
so
it's
good.
it-
What meme picture?
I think
thing?
people-
What are you talking about?
If you've definitely
there's
seen
a
it,
meme,
like
there's a
the
meme where like society if
The Simpsons.
Society
da-da-da,
if,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just this like beautiful. It's
you've
giving
definitely
solar
seen
punk
it. You'll know
vibes.
it when you see it.
It's a meme that's been around for a while. It's like a solar punky vibe picture of like a future society that's all beautiful and
There's
full of
no other
greenery
words
and
that I can
advanced tech.
use
And
to
then someone
describe
will
it.
caption it something like society if
Ronald Reagan didn't
thing
exist.
Oh,
happened.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if Ronald Reagan didn't exist is a good example.
Again, we've gotten to the part of the podcast
Just off the top
where
of my
everyone
head.
explains
I don't know.
memes to me.
but
Next,
but
we'll
bringing it
figure out
back
how to
around to
change the
talking about,
ringtone on your
because
phone.
I do a lot of cutting down for
Help
other
me
people and
update
stuff
my
in videos
phone.
too. I find the idea that like works of art need to be a specific length to be allowed is so silly, because I've seen people waste 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like where it should have been 5.
Yeah, totally.
I've seen videos that should have been 5 minutes long and they were 10 minutes
Yeah.
long. And I've seen videos that were 2 hours long and I'm like, you really should have expanded on this topic and this topic because you don't cover them fully enough, in my opinion, to like where they could have done more. And they could have had, like, you can tell they probably cut some stuff that like they maybe should have kept. And especially I've seen, because I've seen one of those where I've seen the earlier version where that stuff wasn't cut. And I'm like, this should be longer. And it's not because I think people get wrapped up in the idea of length and not in the idea of, is it servicing the work of
Yeah,
art?
it's not about length, it's about pacing. Like I read out my scripts like word for word, and if there is a single moment where I feel like, oh, I've repeated myself or something, it's gone. Like second for second, it
Yeah.
has to be
Just
cut.
Thanos snapped.
I'm very careful with allowing any repetition whatsoever, because I think repetition is a super powerful tool in writing. So you have to be super sparing with it.
Yeah.
Like you have to be very laser exact of like, why am I repeating this thing? And I was like, Jesse and my big Star Wars video, which it's a 5 hour and 48-minute video, but it took us a year and it should really be looked at more like a mini series anyway. Like it's long, but it's not repetitive. There's a lot of like, I did a lot of going through and just being like, has this point already been made? No, it hasn't, and like trying to cut things as much as possible. And there's a few select points where we repeat things, but it's like a callback and it's very clearly a callback. that intention. And then I just love people being like, video log, I'm not watching. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. You don't have to watch.
I mean, I've had those comments on my videos too.
But I'm not. But I find it funny because I've seen those comments on literally like every video link.
Do you know why?
Your videos are 5 minutes
None of my
long.
videos are longer than 20 minutes.
I've seen them on 20-minute videos though, where people are like, "No, there's too much talking." Usually
Too
with
much
some
yapping, as the comment of the day
oh
seems
my
to be.
god. Yeah, but it's. I also think that I think it's worth noting that in the case of Kat and I, we're probably dealing with a certain amount of sexism in that because we have actually done a lot of studies on people's perspectives of how much women are talking in a conversation. If a woman talks more than like 30% of the time in a conversation between two people will perceive it as the woman's talked way more than the other than the men. It's like it's a really interesting, weird little thing. And I do think that's why that genre of comment
in this conversation.
Yeah, what's this? We're gonna have to do a little bar chart at the end, I think.
Interesting is a good way to put it, I guess. is a
yeah, but some of that was just Rick and Morty impressions. I don't think that.
No, that counts.
Kat and I just doing Rick and Morty impressions back at each other.
Yeah, we just do Rick and Morty.
We just do Rick and Morty impressions.
Australian Rick and Morty.
Australian Rick and Morty only.
Oh, you can do
but
Australian,
I was going to say, like, one of the things that
American.
One of the things that I appreciate about your videos, though, like when we were talking about the whole length thing and bringing it back around, is that you make videos that are the length they need to be. You know,
oh, that's a nice
at least in my opinion.
That's a good compliment to receive.
Yeah, because you have videos that are an hour or two. And I don't think you've gotten to a 2 hour. But you've got hour-long videos, and you've got shorter 10 minutes videos, and various things in between. And I think it's because you just had that much to say, and I feel very similar with my writing. I definitely have drifted towards specifically choosing the scripts that I'm going to work on to be the ones that I know are going to be close to an hour, because I know it does way better for my channel if they're longer. And that's kind of one of those frustrating things of making art inside of a system.
Yeah, the latest video is an hour long, and I had no idea it was going to be an hour. I thought maybe 20, 30 minutes, but then it turned out I had a lot to say and a lot of examples about why the games industry is bad. Just ended up being an hour.
Wow, turns out there's a lot.
There's a lot.
Yeah, that was me with the video I'm working on right now. I was like, oh, it'll be a quick little video. It'll be a tiny little video. And I'm like,
wow.
Oh, God, it's like an hour and something.
In and out, 20 minutes adventure.
Morty, you make a video essay, Morty. It'll be a short adventure.
Make a video essay, Morty.
It'll be short. It'll be a short video essay, Morty. Quick 20-minute adventure. Rick, you've already got enough footage for like an hour.
See, that's what having the video does. It consumes you. It destroys you. It takes over.
The video is good to have. It's always a good idea to have the video.
Listen, every video essayist needs the video.
If you're thinking about starting YouTube, do not start with the video. Start with something else.
Never start with the video.
Yeah.
You need to learn to make stuff first.
You need to have the video like 2 to 3 years in, or you eventually become like Action Button or H Bomber Guy, where every video is the video.
To be honest, I kind of love that for them though, and I'm glad that we have these people that are given the opportunity to make that. And if I was in the position to make one big, like, really artistic thing every 6 months or so with Jesse, that would be ideal. But that's not possible.
Yeah.
I don't have the time for that. I don't have the time to be making an animated short film for everybody.
That's the other thing I was going to say about YouTube these days. It just seems like some of my channels that I follow, so many of them are doing super high quality, amazing videos of 1 hour plus or 2 hours.
Yeah.
That are just like they're not padded at all. They're just like a masterpieces. They're just like a 2-hour intricate deep dive into this incredible
I think it's
topic.
because they're bored.
But there's so many good ones now. I can't
But
keep up with them.
And that's the thing, is it's like, if you have an hour worth of things to say, make it an hour. That was like
People
I
have
will
gotten
watch
too
it.
good at making videos.
Yeah, I think
no, but it's great. Like,
it's getting to the point where I think people are genuinely kind of just getting a bit bored, and the only thing they can do is just kind of just keep pushing the production value.
no, that's.
As far
I mean,
as
I
it
think
can
that's
go.
kind of where
Which is fair.
where
I
I'm
think it's
at
fine.
as well. Every time I make a new video, I'm just thinking about like what's some new element I can really focus on to like increase the value of the production quality.
Yeah.
If that's creatively
Um,
fulfilling to you, do it.
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I do that.
Yeah, I don't think
I
there's
do
anything
that.
wrong with it.
I do that with like with my videos. Is like, okay, Darkfry has a background now.
What?
Hell yeah. I've made more screensaver animations for the TV when I'm not showing footage.
Yeah, and this is the
Hell
this is
yeah.
the effort creep. You're like, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
scale things down. I'm not gonna put so much effort into it.
Now I'm learning Blender to like do
Yeah.
3D animation stuff.
But what if?
But
I'm
what
not
if
doing
though?
shit.
Okay, I will say that learning Blender is like
in there in a blanket, Harry.
Yeah, I'm just
Learning-
saying
You're doing
blanket.
And
I think I
admire
used a
that.
barn wipe in my latest video. I think that was enough for me. A barn wipe is good by my standards.
This is another conversation that I had with Jeremy recently because he's teaching me Blender. There's a before Blender mindset and an after Blender mindset. Like learning Blender changes how you think.
It's all about the hotkeys, isn't it?
Yeah, no,
It's all about the
because
hotkeys.
yeah,
Press
no,
the
no,
buttons on keyboard.
it's not just that, but like, okay, so I'm working on a Persona 4 video right now. Like I'm writing a Persona 4 video right now, and before learning Blender, I was just gonna be like, okay, I'm just gonna make a normal video where I just show footage and Darkfry and whatever. But now that I learned Blender, I was like, but what if I made this cool scene where there's like a CRT television in the Darkfry style, and then you can
and Rick and Morty is
show
It says Morty.
like yeah,
Gotta find the killer, Morty.
like yeah, the
Why?
creative juices are flowing differently now.
Morty, I don't like the look of that detective, Morty.
No,
It's
it's
suspicious.
definitely interesting. No, I definitely think that I get more. There's probably more effort per second of final footage in each video I've done compared to like previous ones in a lot of them. Like this one, I'm really doing a lot of good match cutting and like editing to the timing of the music that I'm using in the background. And
Yeah, once you start thinking of these things, like thinking about this stuff, you can't not.
you can't turn it off. You can't turn it off because once you're aware, it'll annoy you when
It's
it's
just you
not
skilling
there.
up, as a creator.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's
good.
It's a
It
good
just
thing
means
to
it takes
do.
it longer.
And it's really hard to do less again.
Yeah.
I've definitely found like the way that I call back some of the like not having to spend as much time is just using more on camera, but like making sure it's really interspersed. I find if I'm changing the visuals every so often, people are more engaged.
Yeah.
This is
Kat, I'm about to pull the plug on this episode
okay, Kat.
because I'm getting sleepy.
Go to sleep, guys.
So Kat, tell me if you have anything else you want to share, any final thoughts.
People should go to my channel, Pixel a Day, and watch my stuff and maybe read my stuff on Medium. And Darkfry and Harry should go to bed and have a nice sleep.
All right.
Thank you, Kat.
And anyone who is listening to this before bed should also have a nice sleep.
Wow. Kat, to end this episode, I would like to share a great little game I found, a little numbers game.
Yeah.
Right?
Do it.
So, so Kat, I want you to think of a number between 2 and 9.
Okay.
This better be funny, Darkfire. This better be funny, okay? I expect a laugh.
Shut up, Harry. Trust me, okay?
Okay, I trust
Did you think of a number between 2 and
I
9,
did.
Kat? Okay, cool. Now multiply it by 5.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Did you do it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Now add the 2 digits together.
Yeah.
Cool. Now add 5 to that number.
Yes.
Now subtract 4.
Yeah. And?
Thank you all for listening to this episode of Video Gems. We will see you next time.
Goodbye, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Love
Goodbye.
you.
Bye.